They say football is a game of inches, but sometimes it's a game of blown whistles, phantom flags, and referees who apparently need glasses. From plays that changed championship destinies to calls so bad they literally forced rule changes, we're counting down the NFL's most controversial officiating disasters that had fans throwing their remotes, coaches turning purple, and entire cities demanding justice. The index card incident, 2017 Cowboys versus Raiders. Picture this, Sunday Night Football, December 17th, 2017, Cowboys versus Raiders, game tied at 17 with under 5 minutes left. Dallas goes for it on 4th and 1, and the spot is so close that referee Gene Steratore pulls out, wait for it, a folded index card from his pocket to measure if the ball made it past the chains. I'm not kidding. A multi-billion-dollar league, and we're using office supplies to determine crucial first downs. The card barely fit between the ball and the marker, so Steratore awarded Dallas the first down. The Cowboys went on to win 2017, and the Raiders went on to wonder if they should have slipped the ref a business card instead. The best part? Steratore later admitted the card was more for visual confirmation than actual measurement. Translation, I had no idea, so I improvised with whatever was in my pocket. At least it wasn't a napkin from his pregame meal. The NFL, folks, where we have cameras that can zoom in on a quarterback's nostril hair, but we're still using paper products to make game-changing calls. The Jerry Rice fumble, 1998 49ers versus Packers wild card. Before we had instant replay from every conceivable angle, we had refs making calls based on what they thought they maybe possibly saw from 20 yards away while being blocked by 300-pound linemen. Case in point, Jerry Rice's phantom fumble that wasn't called a fumble. January 3rd, 1999, wildcard playoff game from the 1998 season, 49ers trailing the Packers 27-23 with 2 minutes left. The GOAT receiver catches a pass, gets hit, and the ball comes loose. Packers recover. Game over, right? Wrong! The officials somehow missed it completely. No fumble called, 49ers keep the ball, and they drive down to score the game-winning touchdown. The replay showed Rice fumbled clear as day. The ball was out before his knee was down, before he was touched, before anything that would have made him down. It was so obvious that even 49ers fans were like, yeah, we got away with one there. This blown call was actually one of the main reasons the NFL brought back instant replay the following season. So thanks Jerry Rice's Butterfingers for dragging the NFL into the modern era. Though I bet Packers fans would have preferred just getting the call right the first time. If bad calls drive you crazy, hit that subscribe button. Unlike these refs, you actually know what you're doing. Super Bowl 40, 2006, Seahawks versus Steelers. Ah yes, Super Bowl 40, or as Seattle fans call it, the Super Bowl where the refs wore black and gold under their stripes. This wasn't just one bad call. This was a symphony of questionable flags that had conspiracy theorists working overtime. Let's run through the greatest hits. First, Darrell Jackson gets called for offensive pass interference in the end zone on what would have been a touchdown. The contact was so minimal that even Steelers fans were confused. Then, there's the phantom holding call on Sean Locklear that wiped out a huge gain. Oh, and Matt Hasselbeck getting flagged for a low block when he was making a tackle after throwing an interception. That's right, they penalized him for playing defense on his own turnover. But the piece de resistance was Ben Roethlisberger's touchdown sneak, where the ball may or may not have crossed the plane. The ref said touchdown, the replay was inconclusive, and Seattle's blood pressure was through the roof. Even referee Bill Levy admitted years later that he kicked 2 calls in the fourth quarter. That's like your Uber driver texting you 3 days later saying, hey, remember when I said I knew where I was going? I didn't. Too late, Bill. The Lombardi Trophy was already in Pittsburgh, and Seattle's still salty about it. The NFL apologizing for bad calls after the fact is like your ex apologizing for cheating. Nice gesture, but the damage is done. Ed Hawk, Hugh Lee's blown whistle. 2008 Broncos versus Chargers. Ed Hawk Hugh Lee was the NFL's most jacked referee. The man had biceps that could bench press a rule book. But all those muscles couldn't help him on September 14th, 2008, when he made a call so bad he literally sent apology emails to fans. Final minute of the game, Chargers up 38-31, Broncos at the 1-yard line, second down, and goal. Jay Cutler drops back to pass, and the ball slips out of his hand like a bar of soap in a prison shower. It's clearly a fumble. Chargers linebacker Tim Dobbins recovers. Game over. San Diego wins. Except Hawk Hugh Lee had already blown his whistle, ruling it an incomplete pass. Here's where it gets worse. Replay showed it was obviously a fumble, but because Hawk Hugh Lee blew the whistle early, the rules didn't allow San Diego to get possession. The ball went back to Denver at the 10-yard line. 2 plays later, Cutler throws a touchdown to Eddie Royale, converts the 2-point conversion, and the Broncos win 39-38. Hawk Hugh Lee was so devastated, he personally responded to hundreds of angry emails from Chargers fans. His email said, "You can rest assured that nothing anyone can say can make me feel worse than I already feel about my mistake. Affecting the outcome of a game is a devastating feeling. Officials strive for perfection. I failed miserably. That's the referee equivalent of sliding into someone's DMs with, 'I'm sorry I ruined your life.'" The NFL graded Hawk Hugh Lee down for the call, which affected his playoff assignments. But the real punishment was becoming the poster child for why NFL refs need to let plays finish before blowing the whistle. To this day, if you say Hawk U. Lee in San Diego, people still twitch. The irony? Hawk U. Lee was one of the league's most respected officials, a lawyer by day who'd refereed 2 Super Bowls. He'd been an NFL ref since 1990 and was known for his detailed explanations and command of the rules. But one early whistle turned him into public enemy number 1 in San Diego. The league later examined whether they could extend replay rules to allow possession changes in these situations. But the damage was done. Chargers coach Norv Turner's reaction said it all. Ed came over and said he blew it. That's not acceptable to me. This is the NFL. When you're making a ref apologize for ending your season, you know it's bad. Dez caught it. 2014 Cowboys versus Packers divisional round. What's a catch? It's a question philosophers have pondered since the dawn of time, or at least since January 11th, 2015, when Dez Bryant made what every human with functioning eyeballs thought was a catch, only for the refs to say, well, actually. Fourth quarter of the 2014 season playoffs, Cowboys trailing 26-21, 4th and 2 from the Packers' 32-yard line. Tony Romo launches it to Dez, who makes an incredible grab, takes 3 steps, dives for the end zone, and the ball pops out when he hits the ground. Cowboys are at the 1-yard line, right? Wrong. After review, the refs ruled it incomplete because Diaz didn't complete the process of the catch and didn't maintain possession throughout the process of going to the ground. I'm sorry, what? The man caught it, took 3 steps, made a football move, had time to think about his grocery list, and then went to the ground. The call was technically correct according to the NFL's Calvin Johnson rule, which basically stated that if you're going to the ground, you need to maintain possession through contact with the ground. But here's the thing. Nobody understood this rule. Not the players, not the coaches, not the fans, and honestly, probably not half the refs. Cowboys fans are still convinced this cost them a Super Bowl. They'll tell you Diaz caught it while showing you grainy screenshots from 47 different angles. The NFL eventually changed the catch rule a few years later, essentially admitting that their definition of a catch was more complicated than quantum physics. But hey, at least we got years of what is a catch? Debates that made everyone question their sanity. The Music City Miracle, 1999 Titans versus Bills wild card. Was it a lateral? Was it a forward pass? 25 years later, and Buffalo fans are still in therapy over this one. January 8th, 2000, wildcard playoff game from the 1999 season. Bills leading 16-15 with 16 seconds left. The Titans, down to their last play, dial up a kickoff return that would make your backyard football team jealous. Lorenzo Neal fields the kick, hands it to Frank Wycheck, who turns and throws across the field to Kevin Dyson. Dyson races 75 yards for the touchdown. Nashville goes wild, and Buffalo goes into mourning. But here's the controversy. Did Wycheck's pass go forward or backward? The refs on the field said it was a legal lateral. The replay officials, after looking at it for what felt like 3 hours, agreed. But if you ask anyone from Buffalo, they'll show you frame-by-frame analysis proving it went forward. They've got protractors, they've got geometry equations, they've got PhD dissertations on why this was a forward pass. The NFL's official stance, the call stands. Buffalo's stance, the call is garbage, and they were robbed. Physics professors have literally studied this play and come to different conclusions. ESPN had a whole sports science segment on it that basically concluded, maybe. The Titans went on to the Super Bowl that year, coming 1 yard short of forcing overtime. Meanwhile, Bills fans went on to perfect the art of table smashing, which might be directly related to this play. Can't prove it, but the timing is suspicious. The Tuck Rule, 2001 Patriots versus Raiders divisional round. Before Tom Brady was winning Super Bowls like they were participation trophies, he was a second-year quarterback in a snowy playoff game against the Raiders. January 19, 2002, in the 2001 season AFC divisional round. The snow was coming down so hard at Foxborough Stadium that you could barely see the field. With 1:50 left, Patriots down 13-10, Brady drops back to pass and gets hit by Charles Woodson. The ball comes loose, Raiders linebacker Greg Biekert recovers. Game over, Oakland's going to the AFC Championship. But wait, after review, referee Walt Coleman emerges and drops this gem. The quarterback's arm is going forward. It is an incomplete pass. The crowd in New England erupts, the Raiders are confused, and America learns about something called the Tuck Rule. Apparently, if a quarterback starts a throwing motion and then decides to tuck the ball back into his body, any loss of the ball is still considered an incomplete pass, not a fumble. It's like saying if you start to eat a cookie but change your mind mid-bite, the calories don't count. Makes total sense, right? The Patriots kept the ball. Adam Vinatieri kicked a 45-yard field goal through a blizzard to tie it at 13-13 with 27 seconds left, then won 16-13 in overtime on a 23-yarder. They went on to win their first Super Bowl, launching the Brady-Belichick dynasty that would torment the league for 2 decades. The Raiders, they fell apart faster than a sandcastle in a tsunami. John Gruden was traded to Tampa Bay a month later, partly because owner Al Davis thought he didn't protest the call hard enough. The Tuck Rule was finally abolished in 2013 by a 29-1 vote, with only Pittsburgh voting to keep it. The NFL basically admitted, yeah, that was a dumb rule, but by then, Brady had 3 more rings and was well on his way to becoming the GOAT. Years later, Brady himself would admit what everyone already knew. In a 2018 interview with Peyton Manning, he said, "Oh yeah, I thought the game's over. For the record, I was pulling the ball down." Raiders fans still can't watch snowfall without having Vietnam flashbacks. And somewhere, Charles Woodson is still wondering how sacking a quarterback and forcing a fumble turned into an incomplete pass. Fun fact, this was the last game ever played at Foxborough Stadium. And what a way to go out with the most controversial call that launched the greatest dynasty in NFL history. Fail Mary, 2012 Seahawks versus Packers. Remember the replacement refs? Those 3 weeks in 2012 when the NFL locked out the real officials and brought in guys who looked like they learned football from playing Madden? Well, their masterpiece was the Fail Mary, a call so bad it literally ended the lockout. Monday Night Football. Seahawks down 12-7 with 8 seconds left. Russell Wilson launches a Hail Mary into the end zone where Packers safety M.D. Jennings clearly intercepts the ball. But wait, Seahawks receiver Golden Tate has his hands on it too. One ref signals touchdown, another signals touchback, and chaos ensues. But here's the best part. Before any of that, Tate blatantly shoved Sam Shields in the back, which should have been offensive pass interference. The replacement refs missed it completely. They review the catch and somehow decide it's simultaneous possession, which goes to the offense. Touchdown Seahawks, game over, Packers are nuclear. The reaction was immediate and brutal. ESPN analysts were speechless. Twitter exploded. The NFL's phone lines crashed from angry calls. Even non-Packers fans were like, okay, this is ridiculous. The regular refs were back by Thursday. The replacement refs became a punchline overnight. These guys went from anonymity to infamy faster than you can say simultaneous possession. The Packers got an apology from the NFL, which is like getting a sorry we burned down your house card from an arsonist. Seattle kept the win. Green Bay kept the grudge. And we all learned that maybe professional referees are worth their paychecks after all. The Saints, no call. 2019 NFC Championship. If you want to see a city lose its collective mind, just mention Rams Saints 2019 inches in New Orleans. With 1:48 left in the NFC Championship game, Saints up 2017, Drew Brees throws to Tommy Lee Lewis. What happens next is either the worst no call in NFL history or performance art, depending on your perspective. Rams cornerback Nickel Roby Coleman doesn't just interfere with Lewis, he delivers a hit that would make WWE jealous. Helmet-to-helmet contact? Check. Early hit before the ball arrives? Check. Pass interference? Obviously. Flag thrown? Crickets. The refs, apparently suffering from temporary blindness, don't throw a flag. No pass interference, no helmet-to-helmet, no nothing. The Saints have to settle for a field goal, the Rams tie it up, win in overtime, and New Orleans experiences a collective aneurysm. This wasn't just a bad call, this was 3 penalties in one play that Helen Keller could have called. Roby Coleman literally admitted after the game he committed interference. The refs were standing right there. One of them was probably close enough to hear Lewis's bones rattle. The aftermath was legendary. Saints fans filed lawsuits, they bought billboards, they started a petition to replay the game that got 700,000 signatures. Louisiana politicians demanded congressional hearings. The NFL had to change its rules to make pass interference reviewable, which they then gave up on after 1 season because apparently it's too hard. The Saints haven't been back to an NFC championship since. Drew Brees retired ringless, and somewhere in New Orleans, there's still a voodoo doll of those refs getting daily pin treatments. The NFL admitted they blew it, but admitting you screwed up after the fact is like apologizing for eating someone's lunch after you've already digested it. The Immaculate Reception, 1972, Steelers versus Raiders. And here it is, the granddaddy of all controversial plays, the one that's been debated for over 50 years, the Immaculate Reception. December 23rd, 1972, AFC Divisional Playoff game. Raiders leading 7-6 with 22 seconds left. What happens next is either divine intervention or highway robbery, depending on which fan base you ask. Steelers quarterback Terry Bradshaw, under pressure, fires a pass to John Frenchie Fuqua. The ball ricochets off something, and Franco Harris scoops it up inches from the ground and runs for a touchdown. Steelers win, Three Rivers Stadium explodes, and a controversy is born that will outlive us all. The question, what did the ball hit? If it bounced off Fuqua, the intended Steelers receiver, to Harris, that's illegal. You couldn't have 2 offensive players touch a forward pass in a row back then. If it hit Raider safety Jack Tatum, it's legal. If it hit both, who knows? The refs huddled for what felt like hours. No replay reviews back then, just a bunch of guys in stripes trying to figure out what they just saw. Finally, referee Fred Swearingen signals touchdown. The Raiders lose their minds. John Madden storms the field. Chaos reigns. To this day, nobody knows for sure what happened. Fuqua has never definitively said whether he touched it. Tatum went to his grave insisting he never touched the ball. The NFL Films footage is inconclusive. There are more conspiracy theories about this play than about who shot JFK. The Raiders swear they were robbed. The Steelers call it destiny. Physics professors have analyzed it. Frame-by-frame breakdowns exist that prove absolutely nothing. It launched the Steelers dynasty of the 1970s and gave the Raiders a grudge they're still nursing 5 decades later. The Immaculate Reception isn't just controversial. It's the play that proved football is sometimes about faith. You either believe Franco Harris made a miracle catch, or you believe the refs gave Pittsburgh a Christmas gift. There's no middle ground. And that's why, 52 years later, it's still the most controversial call in NFL history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into officiating disasters, hit that subscribe button harder than Roby Coleman hit Tommy Lee Lewis.